So, you're pretty busy last year
Yeah,
with touring in sort of outback areas and that sort of thing.
yeah. Spent 2 months in the outback of Northern Territory in Queensland. In
How was
November,
that?
December. It was up and down, as life is for 2 months. There were lots of really great, memorable moments, and there were also some trying sort of times. Just missing home and being really isolated out there. But an amazing experience. We went out to Indigenous communities for a couple of weeks. West of Alice Springs. We did workshops in high schools in outback Queensland. We went up to Darwin for the first time. So yeah, lots of cool things.
Oh, fantastic. So 2 months you were out there.
Yep, 2 months in a bus.
Oh, wow. You would have been very appreciated out there. I don't think there's all too many bands who make the way out to all the sort of remote areas in Australia.
True. Yeah, it was interesting. Playing enthusiastic music students, say teenagers in outback Queensland, they'd never seen a live band before. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that was cool.
Wow. So can you tell me a few of the difficult parts of touring out back for so long, besides being homesick and that sort of thing?
That's part of it. You just, sometimes when you feel isolated, you start to isolate yourself more, say, from your bandmates, and then maybe instead of supporting each other, you might start to get more short with each other. So, as even happens, on other trips, you have disagreements sometimes and things like that, and it's amplified when you're in the middle of nowhere if you're not getting along at times. So there was a bit of that, and that felt very lonely for all of us. But we had a lot of great times as well, and there wasn't anything major that we had to patch up. It was more I think all of us at one stage or another kind of went, oh, I've got to get out of here. This is too hard. And other times we're going, far out. Look where we are, guys. This is incredible. The other bands have done this. And
definitely.
We all never thought we'd be out places like that. So
definitely. Yeah. And you can sort of, do you think now that you're sort of back into all the busyness and all the bigger city type stuff, you can sort of reflect on that and see it in a different kind of light to how it was when you were there?
Definitely. I think we all agree that we tend to, you always seem to sort of nostalgise things prior trips. I have a weird one where I think there was a tour to Western Australia we did early on in the band's kind of history, like maybe it was probably 6 years ago. And I think it wasn't really the best time. Like it was a real struggle and we didn't actually all have the best time. But for some reason, I remember it really rosily. It's like I have this golden memory of this trip. And yeah, I don't quite know. I think that's kind of reflective in an extreme of how you can kind of get sentimental or you nostalgise things. And none of us keep a diary, from what I could tell. So.
Oh, that's the best, I think, especially when the more chaotic things get, the funnier they are later on as well.
Yeah.
So, the more you can sort of just look back at it and think, oh, wow, we got through it.
Well, that's right. And that's probably why you sort of look back on things rosily, because, you realise that at the moment you're working towards something great. There's really good energy for moving forward, and you kind of go, it can't have been, there can't have been anything that bad, because here we are, we're still kind of going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you think things have progressed for the band now from when you first sort of started?
Oh, it's hard to say. It's been, I've been doing this band for a while, 7 years now. It's totally different, and I guess, of all the different trips we've taken independently around the country and internationally and how green we've been, just the things you learn along the way. It's just like life, I guess. You take things on board, you all change as people, and, the music has obviously changed. The new album is quite a break, really, from anything we've done before with the basics, but in a really good way, in a way we're really excited about. I think it's the first album we've made where we're all kind of so excited and so in love with everything that's on the record, as opposed to having some, sort of doubts about it. Did we capture everything? Did we get good performances, or did that quite work? I don't know. Do these songs go together? Like you tend to always have those doubts anyway, and it can be a real roller coaster emotionally. Just you love your record 1 second, and you're completely over it. You never want to hear your music again. But this album, the kind of just the range of stuff that's on here and the way it all fits together and just what we've managed to do in the studio, just producing it ourselves, has all been a bit of a revelation, especially in the last 6 months, where I think pretty much our best material ever has just sort of come out. Hasn't been a struggle to record it. It's been lots of kind of experimenting with different sounds and instruments just in the studio without any really nitty-gritty kind of pre-production and demoing, which we've done in the past, which I think perhaps has sometimes sucked the energy out of the final recordings when you kind of demo things too much and when you when you think too much about what you're going to do with the song. So yeah, this is all coming out, really excitingly. So we're itching to put it out in September.
Oh, definitely. I was going to say it'll be great to see you performing, just knowing that this may be your best record for you guys so far, just with how much you are enjoying all the songs that you've done and how you have really loved every part of it. So
everybody says that, don't they? Oh, this is our best work. Definitely our best work right now.
Yeah.
So, but come down to the show, and we'll be playing the album pretty much in its entirety tonight at the Transit Bar.
That'd be fantastic.
And then, throwing in some older tunes, maybe taking requests towards the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'll be fantastic. Transit Bar's a good place to go as well in Canberra to perform.
Yeah, it's a good little venue. It's got a nice vibe.
Yeah, lots. It's a good energy and I think people who are very musically appreciative tend to come there as opposed to a few other venues around.
And people who are skint. It's a free gig. Come on down.
That too.
Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to finish off the record, and we're just about getting there.
Excellent.
Which is great. Yeah, it's been a long kind of road getting to this point, getting the final copy in hand. So we've been working the last couple of days on it. We took perhaps the wrong approach a couple of days ago, and then hated the direction of the mastering. And
what would you say by a wrong approach?
We tried to make the record really loud, to compete with some records these days, like say the Arctic Monkeys album is just really bright and loud. And that's exciting for the type of music they make. And there's a couple of tracks on our record maybe that would suit being mastered that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole record just came off sounding too hyped, too try-hard, and not dynamic, and not enveloping enough, not warm enough. So yeah, we kind of went, we've directed our mastering engineer the wrong way. We have to start from scratch and just really let the mixers that we love of the songs, just let them do the talking and work within, the great sounds that are already there, not try to stuff with things too much.
Oh, fantastic. So it's a better outcome now than
definitely.
How it was heading before.
It's sounding great. So yeah, soon to be pressed and released in a couple of months. Excellent.
So, how would you compare sort of what you're doing with the basics compared to your solo performances and that sort of thing, your solo work?
Performances, like the live performance side of it, or
just with trying to separate sort of your time between the two, doing your solo things and stuff with the band as well.
Well, pretty much they're just completely separate projects, and they just need completely separate time to do their thing. I think. Listening to the Basics record come together, just especially with the final mixes and the mastering recently, I've just been kind of noting how maybe how much more just kind of earthiness or grit or kind of, obviously, so we're recording everything ourselves, and there might be a few samples that have crept in from our little library of sounds and some synth parts and other kind of, old organs and things. But otherwise, it's all played and it's all kind of made together in the studio. And I think this album really nicely presents like some of the rough edges of groovy things you can put in the corner of mixes and strange instruments you find around. Whereas listening back, comparing some of my Gotye stuff, I guess, maybe it doesn't have the kind of, I think, maximised tightness and economy of parts. Like, cause I sometimes find with my Gotye stuff, I want to add more things and I want to find other textures, but I can't work them out, or I kind of just try to make the best out of very limited sort of series of small changes and variations on otherwise quite repetitive central loops and parts.
Yep,
and now I just kind of try to get the most out of that, which I think works most of the time. But the basic stuff sort of on record with this album seems to have kind of gone a bit more expansive, and there's just more, I guess there's more air and movement in the arrangement. So that's been one thing I've been kind of noting as this album's been getting finished. And I don't know. Otherwise, I don't really know. Maybe they're sort of in some ways coming closer together because obviously the Basics used to do very lean, guitar-based, drums-based rhythm and blues, keeping it very close to what we could and did do at live shows, whereas now the canvas is pretty much just completely open. Whatever works on a track will go on there. From a horn section or string section to just us synthesizers on a song if that feels right. And I guess that maybe anything goes thing has always been something that I've been...
Yeah, definitely.
I've always wanted to kind of throw on a Gotye record, like how much can I get away with putting side by side on this album?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading a few reviews here and there about the Basics and sort of with Gotye as well, and they were saying that if your solo stuff gets a gig, then the basics get a gig too. Is that right? Or am I reading an off review?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What was the review was saying? What, that we always play, both acts always do shows together?
Yeah, basically just as if it was sort of a team pack type thing, that if Gotye got an interview, then the basics would get a similar type gig.
No, not in the past. No, I mean, there's inevitably crossover, say, I suppose, with audience, with fans, but we've never sort of pushed that. It happens naturally, I guess, that if people have seen the basics around, and maybe someone else mentions, oh, did you know, the drummer does his own stuff, check it out, or people have heard my Gotye record or seen me at a festival and then, put two and two together and followed links on a website to find the basic stuff. And so you get some crossover like that. But and we have done there's been a few gigs where I've, say, done a Gotye set, and the basics have, been part of the show as well. But I don't know, we all decided it just wasn't working that well, that it was better to keep them separate, and pretty tiring trying to do sort of 2 to 3 sets in very different sort of performance styles in the one evening. And it was probably confusing as well. It was just hard. It just meant that there was all that comparison all the time, whereas I prefer to try and keep them as separate projects and, I don't know, be taken on their own merit rather than there always being a comparison.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that would be a good idea, because then you can just have the two sort of different sides of music and just keep them as they are and really see how people appreciate it, I guess, without the comparisons between the two. And,
when those comparisons come along, they're probably inevitable just because there is a connection, being a part of both, both of the projects. But, yeah, I don't know. Apart from that, I guess, it is what it is. Don't know
exactly.
What else to say.
And what do you think you're looking forward to most going on tour, with locations and sets and that sort of thing?
Oh, we've been on tour already a bit. This is kind of like we're picking up the tour. Chris went overseas 3 weeks to finish mixing the record at Abbey Road Studios in London. Mm-hmm. We'd already done 3 weeks worth of touring for Victoria, Regional Vic, Western Australia and Adelaide. Mm-hmm. So now we've kind of done New South Wales, and we're going to Brizzy and Canberra tonight. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's any specific spot I'm looking forward to. Hoping it's not too cold in Tasmania. And I suppose maybe Cairns most of all, only because we've never been there before, and it's going to be really hot, I hope.
Go to the Great Barrier Reef or something.
Just go north, yeah. Although then again, this week's weather in Sydney has been remarkable. It's like the hottest week of weather in the middle of winter for ages. I think it was record levels for 19, 20 years or something, I read in the paper.
It's a bit like that with the global warming.
Well, it does make you think, yeah.
A little bit unpredictable. So what do you think of Canberra for all the gigs you've done in Canberra? How have you liked the audience and that sort of thing?
We haven't done many. We played years ago at the Green Room, and that was almost too long ago to remember. Mm-hmm. Our last gig at the Transit Bar was great, and that's why we thought we'd come back and do the same thing, maybe make it bigger. But no, I think we sort of had the venue pretty packed last time, so hopefully there's the same sort of group of interested folks coming down. Everyone can get inside. But yeah, we just really enjoyed the show last time. It was a really rocking show. We didn't play too much off a new album. We just did a lot of threw in a lot of rhythm and blues covers and a lot of our older, more up-tempo, rollicking sort of stuff. So tonight might be a little bit more measured in parts, a bit more downbeat stuff and more acoustic-based things, and then we'll see what happens for the rest.
I know everyone will appreciate it just as much. I actually checked on the old Facebook and seen a lot of people who are going to be attending. So
cool. Good news.
I did some detective work for you.
Excellent. We know there'll be somebody there. That's always nice to know.
Exactly. Oh, it should be a good night.